Steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline!
Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
Strap yourself in and get ready.
Here we go!
The leaders in fantasy football are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now listening to the Insight NFL Show with your hosts, Guns and Maverick.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Alrighty, hello and welcome to another episode of the Insight NFL podcast. I'm your host, Nathan from SuperCoach Guns, and with me as always is Matt, aka NFL Maverick. Matt, how are you going?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Another episode coming in. You're back from holidays. Training camp has started. The King Dong's Fantasy AFL League is finally over. We're loving life, mate.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Gotta say, very busy time in NFL whilst we were away. All the training camp stuff happened. A few injuries, a few surprise decisions, I suppose, on the depth chart for a few teams. But let's get straight into the news. And before I went away, we were talking about how Javonte Williams isn't a guarantee to make the Broncos roster, but in the time that we've been off, it looks as though Javonte Williams will get the RB1 spot at the Broncos. Sean Payton has commented on how sharp he looks and how he looks like he's returned back to his pre-ACL form, which figures because it is his second year removed from that ACL tear. Look, his ADP has been sliding all off season. I think we might start to see it bounce back up pretty quickly here. What are your thoughts on Javonte this season?
Yeah, I don't mind Javonte Williams. I don't really like the Broncos offense as a whole. Now, if he can get the passing down work, I think he'll be fine. But other than that, I think he should have pretty much guaranteed carries. I don't think there's going to be many players that take it off him. Joel McLaughlin's there, but he'll be more of a passing down back. And then you've obviously got the rookie. So unless the rookie can take snaps off him, I think he's pretty safe for now.
Yeah, Audric Estime might get some goal line work. He's a bit of a power back, but otherwise you can pretty much lock Javonte in, and great value for a potential 3-down back. Another Williams, Jameson Williams, obviously the 12th overall pick back in 2022. Missed most of that year with an ACL tear. Missed 2023. Missed parts of 2023 due to that gambling suspension and hamstring injuries. But he's been fully fit during training camp. He's been really impressing, and he looks primed for a third-year breakout. His ADP sits around the 110s. In such a live wire offense like the Detroit Lions, I'm willing to have a go at Jameson Williams with that ADP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's the top pick in the draft 2 years ago. He really should be bouncing back now and pretty much be a full strap for the year. He's a very, very talented player, and if he can stay healthy, the offense is going to be flying. So I really like him. I think he's going to be solid. And if they're going to be a serious team, he's going to be the one that really takes them to that next level. So, yeah, watch out.
Yeah, because he is a genuine field stretcher, and he can be. Obviously, the hype on him was one of the more elite players in the draft, and I think had he not torn his ACL going into the draft, he would have been probably a top 5 pick, and his NFL career will be well and truly along from where it is today. We'll go to the Super Bowl winners last year, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, there's been a little bit of early drama about who their RB2 is and what the depth chart is looking like at the running back position. Currently, it's undrafted free agent from the 2023 class, Deneric Prince. In deep leagues, he's been rostered a few times in the last 12 months, mainly in the off-season and preseason. But yeah, Deneric Prince looks like he'll be the backup to Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know much about him, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of role he plays, but I can't see a world where it's not actually a committee if Pacheco misses time when you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire there as well.
Yeah, I'm so off Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's had enough time now in the league to really try and establish himself in that Chiefs roster, and he hasn't done that. So it's probably time to go somewhere else. And yeah, Prince has been absolutely just knocking down training camp by reports. So yeah, he's probably one to watch in deeper dynasty leagues, but in redraft, I wouldn't really have him on my radar at all at this stage.
Yeah, Pacheco's got all 3 downs locked in. There's no Jerick McKinnon there, who was a pretty good change of pace back for them. Yeah, it's Pacheco's role for every down. So there's not. It's only if there's an injury that you rush to pick up Deneric Prince. Well, we heard from the Panthers head coach Dave Canales, and he spoke about how the offense was going to work. And the main comment he had was, "We want to feature Deontay Johnson. He's our feature guy." Now, at his ADP of, I think it's around 100, maybe even 110 to 120 right now, having the wide receiver one with a quarterback who, although he was quiet last year, did have a lot of pedigree coming into the league. And I think he showed flashes last year, Bryce Young. If you get the ball to him, say 130, 140 times throughout the season in total, at least target him that amount, you might come away with 90 to 100 catches, and that's fantasy gold in PPR leagues, right? Yeah, Deontay Johnson, very much a massive upside player with his ADP.
Yeah, I'll get onto Deontay Johnson a bit later on in the episode. He's
That's
yeah.
that pretty much tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of hype before we went into official training camp was going towards Chargers running back Kamani Vidal. Now, he obviously got drafted in, I think it was the 5th round. It could have been the 6th round. But in the latter rounds of this year's draft, there was a bit of hype about him that he might take the RB2 job off J.K. Dobbins. It doesn't look like he's even the RB3 right now, with news that former Washington running back Jarrett Patterson has overtaken him. Now, he's sort of in that ADP where you're drafting Ray Davis, Tyrone Tracy, and Kamani Vidal, right? Right now, I still have Tracy 1, I had Vidal 2, and Ray Davis 3, but now I think it's Ray Davis at 2 and Kamani Vidal at 3. I think Vidal, RB4 is what we're looking at for him right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one to really work out what the charges are going to be. Yeah, it's going to be a run first offense, obviously, but yeah, outside of that, anyone could really be involved.
Yeah, it is the definition of a committee, but what we know is that Gus Edwards is going to be doing goal line carries. He's probably got the most touchdown upside to him. So we'll go with him as the main relevant guy in that backfield. On the topic of running backs and potential committees, the Cincinnati Bengals, they've been using Chase Brown as their RB1. I think one of their offensive tackles or offensive linemen, Orlando Brown, was talking up Chase Brown today, saying he'd be the first running back he'd draft in a fantasy league. Now, obviously, that's probably a bit of overhyping him, but he is currently their RB1. He's around that 120 ADP, and if you saw the YouTube thumbnail, Chase Brown's on there, which gives you a pretty good idea as to how much we'll be talking about him on this show.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting one. I don't know what to really think of him, but really the sky is the limit for Chase Brown. I guess we'll touch on him a bit later as well. But yeah, no, this kid, yeah, could be the definition of a sleeper. But that's just a little hint for later on.
Yeah, big Kyron Williams vibes about him.
Yeah,
Yeah. At the Steelers, not so much good news there. We've had Roman Wilson go down with an ankle injury, not reported to be too serious, but he's missing valuable training camp time, valuable reps with Justin Fields and all Russell Wilson. Um, you know, it's a Steelers wide receiver drafted in the 3rd round. There's probably a 60% chance he becomes a stud wide receiver, right? But right now, an immediate value in redraft leagues, it's pretty low, and it might have just got a bit lower with that news. So I'm kind of out on Roman Wilson right now, just because it's all been about George Pickens, and there's a bit too much Van Jefferson in there. Plus, you throw into the account Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator, so Michael Pruitt's going to pop up somewhere, right?
yeah. I think Roman Wilson will be one of those guys that, obviously he probably won't get drafted in most leagues, but he's one to watch moving forward. I think he's going to be involved in the offense. He's pretty much nearly there outside of Pickens. He's probably their future in the offense as well. So he's definitely one to watch. Maybe by week 3, week 4, he might be rosterable and maybe even playable. But for now, it's more of a wait and see. Hopefully, he's healthy. That's always a starting point, though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And if he can get back onto the field fast and make an impact in this preseason, a lot can change, right? We're still a month away from the season starting, so plenty of time for him to make his face known as the wide receiver 2 in this team. Off to the Falcons now, and Tyler Algier. Well, the offensive coordinator there, Zach Robinson, said that he's looking to give Tyler Algier a big role this season. Now, what does big role mean? I don't know. We've also heard Zach Robinson say we want to use Bijan Robinson like Christian McCaffrey. And when Elijah Mitchell was fit last year, we saw plenty of around, 8 to 12 carries a game from Elijah Mitchell, even with CMC there. So is that what we're sort of looking at for Tyler Algier? I think so. Nothing that's going to take away too much from Bijan. Probably, if anything, it keeps him more fresh and more. I don't know. I think more fresh is probably the word I'm looking for, and that's got to result in much higher efficiency on his touches.
Yeah, so I know that Arthur Smith was there last year. That sort of was a shitty offense. It wasn't really. It wasn't. It was very predictable. It was just crap. But they really didn't know who to use. I mean, I'm looking at LG's stats from last year, and he was very involved in the offense. I mean, there were some games where he had 21 carries, 17 carries, 16 carries, 15 carries, 10 carries, 14 carries. That's far too many carries for a. If I'm a Bijan lover, that's far too many carries. I want this guy to be getting 30 plus, as in Bijan. So if LG is a focal point in the offense, I'm already worried about drafting Bijan. It just makes my case for Breece Hall being the number 2 RB even better, I suppose.
I think you mispronounced Devon A-Chain, but that's all right. Yeah. Well, we'll go to the Philadelphia Eagles now. Will Shipley, rookie running back, they drafted this year in the 4th round, I think. He is getting some first-team red zone touches, which is alarming for Saquon Barkley drafters and alarming for those who still have Kenny Gainwell in dynasty leagues because, one, I think it's a sign that they're going to put Will Shipley on the field more than what Barkley managers would like, and Gainwell's probably RB3. So if anything happens to Shipley, I think it becomes a bit of a committee, but obviously goal line touches would go to Will Shipley. Now, in a deep league this year, I think he's worth a draft, say 16th round to 18th round. But outside of that, unless we get a Barkley injury soon, I don't think Shipley is worth drafting.
Mate, I'm going to sum up to you very, 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 very easily. And that's fuck the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. And Parsons is going to kill all of them. So if he's in the red zone, bring it on.
As long as we're nice and balanced and unbiased in our takes here, that's all good.
Yeah, not going to happen.
No. If you want that, I don't know, go Fantasy Pros or something. Anyway. Justin Herbert. He's obviously had an injury in his right foot. I'm going to try and pronounce the official name of it. Plantar fascia? Anyway, it's that.
Plantar fasciitis.
He's wearing a moon boot, and he's got to wear one for at least a couple of weeks. Yeah. So, sorry, I've just seen a comment. I don't know what that is. Let me just... I've seen this comment. I don't know what he means. Oh, dear. Anyway. I'm flipping in my bed. What's this about the 49ers? 24/7, always open. I think he's saying stuff you to the 49ers, but not fully sure. His name is hilarious. Anyway. Back to this. Yeah, Justin Herbert injured for who knows how long. He's in a moon boot for at least a couple of weeks. It could be a slow healing injury. It's not great signs. Now, obviously, the only real loss, the only person who really negatively benefits from this is, Lad McConkey, right? Because and Josh Palmer. But those two are the only real pass catchers that are going to be featured on this offense. Otherwise, it's just run the ball 5 times more a game or 10 times more a game. If Justin Herbert misses any game time in the regular season, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I've had a very mild case of plantar fasciitis, and it does stick around for a bit. So if it's anything larger than a mild case, then I'm a bit worried for him. It does reoccur. It's one of those injuries where you don't really want that at all. So hopefully between now and the end of the start of the season, should I say, he's sorted it out, because if he's missing any time, they're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, look, it would be a grim offense if Justin Herbert misses time. It might not affect the ground game as much, but yeah, just as a whole, it'll be hard to watch. Having a look at the Tennessee Titans now, DeAndre Hopkins has just suffered a knee injury. He'll be missing 4 to 6 weeks. He obviously did it last week. If he's back in 4 weeks' time, it puts him on return right on the bell of week 1. Any further time, we're talking week 2 return. You've been called Brad Pitt on here. There you go.
Yeah, I am very sexy.
That'll boost your ego.
Yeah. I'm very sexy.
Sorry, I'm just fascinated by the comments. Someone always wants us to wrap it up as well. So that's good stuff.
It's a good start.
Hopkins is... okay, I'm going to feed you here. Hopkins is washed just like Dak Prescott. Well, that would imply that Dak
Brady the second.
That would imply that Dak Prescott was any ever good. Ooh. Anyway, back to DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it hurts Will Levis a bit not having his clear-cut wide receiver 1 there. But he's got Calvin Ridley. He's got Tyler Boyd. It's not thrilling names, but they weren't thrilling names to begin with. Even if it is only 2 weeks, for DeAndre Hopkins. Like, if it is the worst case scenario, it's not going to have a massive outcome on Will Levis' season, and it's actually going to drop. People will overreact, and DeAndre Hopkins' ADP will drop a lot, which makes him a sleeper candidate. Now, he's not on our list, I don't think. No, he's not on our list. So, if he's really dropping, I think he's at one, is he in the 90s? I don't remember where he is right now in ADP, but
Uh,
if he drops 20 or 30 spots, there's some real value there in Hopkins.
yeah, bloody oath. He's a bit old now, so it's probably his downside. His ADP's at 87, so yeah, hopefully he can just come out for probably week 1, week 2. Hopefully he's back early. If he's missing any further time than that, I'm a bit worried for him. But yeah, they need him out there as well. If they're going to make a step forward this year in their development, then they need their best weapon out there. So for sure.
Yeah. Now, there was I saw this comment, I think it might have been yesterday, and it's very interesting. Isaiah Likely will be used like a chess piece and is being hyped up as their number 2 receiver per Dan Granzino on ESPN. I can only assume that number 1 Zay Flowers. It could be Mark Andrews though, but I can only assume number 1 Zay Flowers. They're talking about lining him up in the backfield or in the slot, like some really amusing ways of using Isaiah Likely. I think it does bolster his ADP, and he makes him an interesting late round pickup. Hearing that sort of news and those sorts of comments, but I want to see it eventuate in the preseason. Thoughts?
Well, it sounds like they're going to use him like they use bloody Taysom Hill. They don't know where his best position is, but it's just anywhere on the field. Now, he had a really good year last year when Mark Andrews was out, so obviously they want to use him more because he's a very good player. But yeah, I'd have to see it first in preseason. Hopefully they can bring out their full roster in preseason so we can actually get a look at what they do. But otherwise, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
I'll just have a look at this comment. Give us something on Caleb Williams. He does something to me that my wife could never. Oh, man. I'm not really sure what to say. I mean, good for you, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully lasts longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah. It must be the pink fingernails, I reckon.
Yeah, hopefully.
That'll do it to anyone. Yeah. Only a quick comment here, but Cooper Kupp, he's at full health. Now, what that means for this offense, nothing more than what we already knew. But it's an exciting offense. You've got Cooper Kupp at full health. Puka Nacua did just have a knee injury, but he's all good. Matthew Stafford's back. Obviously, they're without Tyler Higbee for most of the season, but he wasn't a massive part of this offense. You throw in Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, it's going to be a stellar offense and very fun to watch. And having Cooper Kupp at full health, it won't do anything to his ADP. It doesn't really change anything in my mind about him. But it's exciting to see.
Yeah, so if you're a Puka Nacua owner, you're probably a little bit nervous that Cooper Kupp might get back to full. Well, he's back at full strength, but if he's going to come back to even half of the Cooper Kupp that he was, then Puka Nacua goes down in my rankings for sure. There's not going to be enough ball for both of them to be WR1s. So, yeah, as a Puka Nacua owner in Dynasty, I hope this isn't the case. I think hopefully he's just a diversion and it's Nacua's receiving corp to go to the next level. So, yeah, we'll soon find out, I suppose. But yeah, another one to be unsure about.
Yeah, not sure what to think of there. Right, there's just more comments coming through, and I'm not obviously Teddy Belcher 4K ultra wide 21 to 9 has something against you, I think. maybe. 49ers would give Brandon to stop the North. I don't know what that means. I don't want to watch Brandon Ayuk. Here you go. There's this comment. I don't want to watch Brandon Ayuk all year versus the North. I don't know. Good on you. Yeah. Okay. On Jonathan Brooks, the Panthers head coach Dave Canales confirmed that he won't play until week 3 or week 4. I think that's a decent outcome for what it could have been. He could have started the regular season on PUP. Doesn't look like he's going to. He still might, but currently, as far as we know, he's not going to. It's not a bad outcome, and if he's obviously progressing pretty well, if he's not having to start out on PUP, despite tearing that ACL in November. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Brooks? I'm a bit keener on him than you, I suspect.
Well, I think this news now probably makes it well known that he'll fall in redraft leagues. So if you get him in the last round or two, or even off the waivers, I think he'd be nice to stash on your bench and just sit in there. Because when he comes back in, he will be the RB1. And it'll probably take him a few weeks to get going. But once he gets going, he could be a play option for any starting lineup. So, yeah, it's going to be a slow burn to start off with. But, yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's probably the definition of a league winner. Once he's up and running after week 10, we're talking about probably a 3-down back. That's really what they drafted him for. He's the best back in all 3 aspects of that roster. Here you go. Have a look at this. Over or under 75.5 interceptions for Dak Prescott this year.
Over.
Over. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
He also reckons that Dak Prescott sleeps with the lights on.
Yeah, he definitely does when the playoffs start. He hates the lights.
Yeah, he's like, who's worse, Dak Prescott in the playoffs or Kirk Cousins in prime time? I'm not really sure.
No, Kirk Cousins has actually won one, so probably Dak.
There's tons of comments coming in. We're gonna have to address a few of these. Germans love the Panthers. Like, again, Teddy Belcher is on fire tonight.
I think he's had a few too many German beers.
Yeah, for real. Seems like everyone is getting paid except for Ayuk, but it would be a mistake for the 49ers to trade him. I agree. I think the 49ers need him there this season. Next season, if you can franchise tag him again and then trade him, like you've got Pearsall after he would have done a full season in the NFL. Yeah, you can then reevaluate. You might be able to pay him next year if Debo doesn't want to stay. So there's a few ways they can go there. Thoughts?
I'm torn. I would probably lean to trading him. I think he's getting a bit too greedy. The 49ers culture is all about just sort of sticking together as one unit. So they've just drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. So if he wants more than Amon-Ra St. Brown money, then he can go.
Yeah, he's not. His asking price doesn't match with what his actual contributions are. I don't think.
Yeah.
What kind of beer are you drinking?
I'm on the Carlton Dries, and I've just had me one beer, so I'm probably done.
Yep, there you go. Debo carry. Oh, I'm not even going to put that on the screen. Debo carries the boombox. Okay. Teddy Belcher, settle down. Final comment. We've almost got through the news. Tyrone Tracy, he's locked in as the Giants RB2. Was announced. Yeah. So, yeah. Like, I've been high on him all preseason. His name's coming up here tonight. I've seen him drafted as high as the 11th round. That's too high I draft him from the 13th though. Just like we're talking about, a guy who's going to have receptions out of the backfield because how many checkdowns Daniel Jones is going to do this year? It's Malik Neighbors or it's a check down to the running back pretty much. So, yeah, still in on him. Matrix is a bit lippy. Oh, no, not too lippy, actually. Maybe not sleepers, but can you give me your opinions on either Jaden Reed or Christian Watson in Green Bay? Who do you prefer?
Jaden Reed all day of the week. Christian Watson still has those dodgy hammies. So I'm staying away from him until that's resolved. Jaden Reed's actually flying under the radar, something shocking. So he's probably someone they would target in drafts. He's not going to cost you much in draft capital. So I'd take Reed all day. He's got elite potential.
Yeah, so I'm probably higher on Christian Watson with the ADP. His ADP is after 100. I think if those hamstrings stay healthy, he'll be a touchdown machine, and he's just big play after big play. Christian Watson, I like the upside on him.
Yeah, so do
but
I. When
in
he's
saying
healthy.
that, when he's healthy, there's a lot of upside to him, and
Yeah.
I'm backing him to be healthy. But I couldn't have a team where I've drafted Anthony Richardson, Devon A-Chain, and Christian Watson, and Jonathan Brooks. Even though I love all four of them, I'd be really
Yeah,
screwed.
and if you drafted that team, I'm in a league currently that if you bottom score in the league, you're going to get whipped by a belt. So
Okay.
if you draft that team, and they're all injured, then you're getting belted, and probably 6 or 7 times as well.
Woohoo. Yeah. Okay. More flattery for you. I think you're on the right. I assume you are. You're on the right on my screen. That's all that matters.
Maybe that's who knows?
Who knows? I'm going to assume it's you. Yeah. I am sinking tins. I've got I won a free tinny cooler, stubby cooler rather, at a trivia night. So I'm using that in full effect. Thank you for that, Matrix. That should be it for our news, I think. It's only taken us half an hour, but people are still watching, so that we must be doing something right. Well, let's get into
Hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. Let's get into the purpose of today's show: our sleepers and our bounce back players. Matt, who are your top 5 sleepers?
So my first sleeper off the board is I've started with a QB early. Now, when I tried to pick this sleeper, I tried to pick a sleeper that's a young QB with breakout upside.
Anthony Richardson?
Now,
Anthony Richardson?
no, it's not Anthony Richardson. I think he's already. I don't think he's sleeping. I think he's wide awake. But I was thinking Bryce Young. You think Bryce Young when you hear that, but I've actually gone with Will Levis. Now they've actually stocked him up with some receivers this year. He's got D Hop, he's got Calvin Ridley, he's got Traylon Burks, and he's got the tight end, the big Kongwu. So I do think that this offense will get better. I think there's more pass volume coming in 2024. I do believe that they're going to use these weapons more often than they don't, and why wouldn't you? Now they've got Ridley, who won't get double teamed this year either. Keep in mind, Ridley was a top receiver only a few years ago before his betting scandal. So, I do believe that they'll use him a lot more. He's also got a couple of running backs there in Pollard and Spears, who are a great pass catching backs as well. So, so if they can use all these weapons that he's got, there's no reason why this guy can't be a. I think at his ADP, I think his ADP is at 100 and something at the moment. 100 and have a look. 176 in one QB leagues, and I do believe this guy will be more featured in the offense. They'll let him work, and I believe he can run too. So he's my sleeper for QBs.
He's got a bit of Josh Allen vibes about him, I must say. Very much early career Josh Allen. But yeah, I like the upside to him. My concern is that there's some very old receivers there. Everyone maybe besides Calvin Ridley is above the age of 30. Like you got DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. That's three wide receivers. You're starting three, all above the age of 30. Tony Pollard, not particularly efficient on the ground last year. Ty J. Spears, solid, but not a workhorse guy. Okonkwo, he hasn't really carried on from his rookie progression. In fact, he had identical stats last year to his rookie season. So the only concern I have is, has he got the weapons? I suppose has he got the weapons at the right age and right points in their career to provide production? But look, DeAndre Hopkins is elite, and if Calvin Ridley can fix his drops, like we're looking pretty good with Will Levis this year. Who's next on your list?
On my list, who have I got at number 2? It was a running back. Zamir White, it was actually at number 2 as my running back sleeper. I really liked what Zamir White did in the last few weeks of the year when Josh Jacobs went down. He's it ended the year in a complete bang. His ADP currently is at 90. No, it can't be that low.
80.7.
80.7 is his ADP. So that's looking in the 8th, 9th round. Well, 8th round probably in 12 QB leagues, roughly. 12 QB leagues, 12 man leagues. And that's a steal. There's no one really to take off any carries off him. It's probably going to be an offense that struggles. That's probably his only downside. But that's fine. If he's getting 30 carries a game, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it's hard to see him not pushing 300 carries after the regular season, barring injury, of course. Because he's a proper workhorse. He can handle that sort of workload. We've seen it. He's also underrated out of the backfield too. Like they're going to use someone else there, I think. Maybe they put Alexander Madison on for a bit of change in pace, but otherwise you're looking 20 plus carries a game for Zamir White. It's just how the O-line holds up, and I think it'll be fine.
I think he's on the field a lot. So and I rate that. If you're going to get him in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, somewhere around there, that's a bargain. It's a bargain.
Yeah. Yeah. Next on your list, I believe you've got a wide receiver who we both love.
Yeah, I've gone with Amari Cooper as a sleeper. Now his ADP has actually gone up a lot since we actually last spoke to him about him, should I say? It's now 58 in 1 QB leagues, and still that's a bargain, I reckon. This guy just constantly gets it done. He's going to get increased QB play now with Deshaun Watson back in the lineup. Yeah, ex-Cowboy, so I love him, and we should never have traded him. But every single year, this guy just like last year, wide receiver 18. The year before, wide receiver 9. Right? This guy gets it done. And
yeah,
if you're drafting him around about pick 58, pick 60, somewhere around there, then you just know he's a safe option. And everyone's sleeping on him being around that ADP. So I'm so confused why he's that low.
Well, I talked about it on the Twitter account of Insight Fantasy Sports. In the 6 games that he played with Deshaun Watson last year, that Deshaun Watson actually finished, his points per game would have had him at wide receiver 1, right? So he is elite with Deshaun Watson there for whatever reason. So
yeah, I love him.
Yeah,
it's a safe option. Like at pick 58, let's say he goes at pick 58, you just know what you're going to get. I don't understand why he's going so low. He's been borderline wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 for his whole career nearly. So, yeah, I'm fine taking him.
And Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II is correct. Amari Cooper is a fantasy playoff legend. I think we all remember last year, week 16, 15 targets, 11 catches, 265 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. 51.5 fantasy points in PPR. It is a very memorable performance from Amari Cooper. And that was in, I believe, semi-finals or right before fantasy
Yeah.
championship week. So,
He-
Hall of Fame performance, really.
And if you're in 16 leagues, he scored 19 the week before. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just gets it done.
Tipsy trades. Now that's an NRL thing, so you might not be aware of that. But tipsy trades are one of the best things you can ever do. I've made many legendary tipsy trades thanks to Rowan. I do like reading his tipsy trades each week.
Fair enough.
And they're going to carry over to NFL. Yes, absolutely. I'm prepared to wake up in the morning with a complete hangover, and find out I've sold Lamar Jackson for 2025 third. It will happen. I'm sure it will. Now, your next sleeper, I believe we're talking someone from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I've gone with the tight end in this one. I do believe Dalton Kincaid will be a massive focal point of the offense in Buffalo this year. I'm still a bit skeptical on their wide receivers. I'm not too sure what we're going to get out of them. They got Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. I don't know what that's going to be looking like. But what I do know is they love Dalton Kincaid. I would take Kincaid at his ADP is going around 50 to 55, somewhere around there. I'm more comfortable taking Dalton Kincaid at 50-ish versus Laporta or Kelsey at 26. I think Kincaid is a sleeper for a tight end 1 this year. He's got Josh Allen there, so he's got elite QB play. And if we're going to compare him to Laporta and Kelsey, he's got plenty of competition there in all their weapons they've got there. So I'd rather use draft capital lower on and take Kincaid over the top tight ends this year. That could be dumb to say that, but that's just my strategy.
Yeah, and just looking at one of the comments here, it's not surprising that people are trying to trade for Kincaid in keeper leagues, like in dynasty leagues even. Like he's hot property, really. Particularly now that there's no clear wide receiver 1. Like we think Keon Coleman's going to feature a fair bit. We think Khalil Shakir's going to do something in this offense as well. But the one thing's for certain is that Dalton Kincaid will be pretty heavily involved, right? He's second.
I think
he's probably either the top or the second. I don't think he drops any further than that.
And I think, honestly, he'll be the first look in the red zone as well. So if he's going to score touchdowns as well, that's just gold. So I'd much rather use my capital on Kincaid than I would for a top tight end this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Now, your final sleeper, I find this one quite interesting. We did talk about him earlier. Who is it?
Yeah, so I've gone with Deontay Johnson as my sleeper. Now, as we said at the start of the show, in all reports, he's absolutely lighting up training camp. Got that connection with Bryce Young. And I do believe Bryce Young is going to take a step forward this year. Deontay Johnson's a fantastic route runner. In PPR leagues, he's going to be brilliant. I don't think they're good enough yet to really win many games still. I still think they're pretty crap. So that means the game script's going to be in their favor to throw the ball a lot more. And Deontay Johnson is in a contract year. So he's looking to get paid. I love players in contract years. So, and as I said, his ADP is currently at, where is it? It's pretty low. Yeah, 92.7 is his ADP. So that's like 9th, 10th round. So, yeah, all day would I be taking the wide receiver 1
Yeah.
at a team that's going to be losing games.
Would you say he's trading the house down?
Yeah, I'd bloody oath I would.
Yeah.
All reports, and all I've heard from training camp is positivity. So you never ever hear negativity unless you're Quentin Johnston.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, no, he's the clear number 1, I reckon. Thielen's not really going to be much or heavily involved, and they've still got Mingo there, and yeah, Deontay Johnson's the one for me.
There is a Xavier Leggett that will get some involvement, but honestly, it's just deep shots downfield, right?
Yeah.
It's still going to be Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, but Deontay Johnson's a PPR beast. He's done it before. He might have 8 catches for 95, 100 yards, 18 points.
Yeah. Just having a look. Oh, of course, it's my turn to do the sleepers. I have a couple of honorable mentions. Davis Allen, he's a tight end at the LA Rams. He's the backup to Colby Parkinson right now. It'd be such a Sean McVay thing to make him the tight end 1 and throw to him 6, 7 for the first 4 weeks. We've seen it happen before where he just grabs a player from obscurity and makes him a feature part of this offense. Wouldn't shock me if it happened to Davis Allen. But yeah, it's just someone to keep an eye on, particularly with that injury to Tyler Higbee. There's the opportunity for him to step up. Second year in the NFL. I think he had 10 catches on 11 targets for 95 yards last year. So it was solid even with very limited opportunity. Also from the Patriots, Javon Baker, he's been lighting it up in training camp. The only reason he's not in this top 5 is because it's the Patriots and Jalen Polk and Kendrick Bourne are still there. I think Javon Baker's doing really well to get to the wide receiver 3 position, but he's had to come from a long way down in the depth chart. So he doesn't quite crack the top 5 for me.
Do you reckon there's a world where Javon Baker passes Polk?
No. Polk seems to be the consensus number 1. I think Javon Baker could get to number 2. He could get ahead of Kendrick Bourne, but I don't think anyone's getting ahead of Polk right now.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Which makes Polk himself a sleeper. I haven't put him on here, but he is definitely
I think they're both sleepers.
Candidate. They're both sleepers. They'll both be involved, but particularly when Kendrick Bourne's coming off an ACL and he's never really had. I don't think he's had more than 60 targets in his career. So
yeah,
he's not too much of a roadblock. Yeah, the AFC East defenses are going to feast on the Patriots. That's something to consider if you're in a league that does defenses and kickers. Yeah, I'd be targeting the other 3 teams in the AFC East, right? That's a pretty safe bet. Number 5 for me, AD Mitchell from the Colts. From all reports at training camp, he's the wide receiver 2. He's leapfrogged Josh Downs, and Josh Downs was good last year, right? So that sort of puts it into perspective how good AD Mitchell is. He ran a 4.34 40-yard dash, which in any other year, that would be talked about a lot more. But because we had Xavier Worthy break the record, it hasn't been mentioned. So he's underrated in terms of how fast he is. All draft reports have suggested he's got a very good hand-eye coordination. And his ADP is pretty low. It's 124 right now. Now, obviously, if we've got Anthony Richardson for 17 games, he's going to throw the ball downfield a lot. And that is where AD Mitchell shines. He's a big deep ball threat. Again, as I say, he's got very good separation because of his pace. And he's a bigger fella as well. So I'm pretty keen on AD Mitchell in what would be the 14th round in drafts. So I'll be looking at him. Oh, no, 10th to 11th round in drafts, rather. So I'll be looking at him a lot.
He's going to be the wide receiver 2 there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
He's the wide receiver too there.
easily.
And in an offense that's going to be moving the ball a lot, yeah, he really could be anything, really, couldn't he?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of upside to that pick. Oh, there you go. A nice and positive message. Thanks, Insight Crew. I appreciate the channel. No worries. We're pretty new, so yeah.
Just a quick shout out here, Guns. I've just gone on to the live on Twitter. We've got 95 live viewers. So massive shout out to everyone out there.
Yeah.
I appreciate the tune in. I was expecting no more than 15. So 95 has completely gone past my expectations. So appreciate you all listening in.
That's just on YouTube. In total, we've got 105. So we're doing pretty well tonight. That's great stuff. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll have a look at, and thank you for the message, Matt, by the way. We probably skipped over it faster than we should have, but yeah, thank you very much. Number 4, Chase Brown, Bengals, the feature guy in this show. I only put him at 4. It's not really in order. I just put him at 4. His ADP is 124, as 123.9 if you want to be super precise. In my opinion, and I think we have a similar opinion on this one, the best sleeper in the running back position. We're talking about a guy who's had flashes of elite agility. He's an electric footballer. I think the most notable play is when he took a 60-yard screen pass to their house last year. He's also, not only is he super elusive, he's very good at finding yards after contact. Amongst running backs who had 40 or more carries last year, he ranked 3rd in the league for yards after contact per attempt. He's averaging 2.9 yards after being contacted when carrying the football. Just means that he's extending the play, getting more points, even with maybe a questionable O-line, or he's just breaking more tackles. It's a great sign for him. He's getting majority of the reps with the first team, which has got to be positive. I still think Moss handles goal line carries and maybe some really early down work closer to their own goal line. But between the 20s, third downs, and I still think he'll feature a fair bit in the red zone, Chase Brown. It's just that they want a power guy. I think Zach Moss is your power guy, but it's really shaping to be a really good offense, a really decent offense for the Bengals, and Chase Brown, I'm pretty high on him now.
Yeah, you actually stole my player off my list, Guns. I had to change my list because of you. But spot on. Chase Brown looks like he is the biggest sleeper of this draft. He's going to cost you a late pick in the draft. Second last round. That's how much of a sleeper he actually is. I would put all my chips into that second last round pick. They've got no Joe Mixon there anymore. They've got Zach Moss, who they're paying absolutely nothing for, so they don't owe him anything. And the only concern I've got with Chase Brown is he just a third down back? We're not too sure yet. He's unproven. So yeah, let's see how he goes. They're in a really good offense too. So they ranked, I think in PPR points, they ranked 11th in 2022. So that's with a healthy Burrow. I'm not choosing last year because they didn't have really Burrow for half the year, but 11th in PPR points from running backs is pretty damn good. So if Chase Brown's on the field more, then he's pretty much very similar to what Jerome Ford was last year, I reckon.
Yeah, and you also got to remember that, like, if Chase Brown is just a third down back, you're drafting him in the 11th round, right? It's not going to hurt you too much if he doesn't pan out.
No.
You're not really putting capital into him. And that's why he's perfect in this sleeper list.
Yeah.
At number 3, I've got a Bills wide receiver, Khalil Shakir. Now, I'm pretty high on him. I'm of the opinion he'll either be first or second, depending on how often Allen throws to Kincaid. But I think he's their wide receiver one in my eyes. He's a starting slot guy. I know that Josh Allen likes to throw this thing downfield, but we're at the point where Curtis Samuel, he's not notoriously safe. Keon Coleman, there's doubts about him in terms of getting deep separation. His route running's good in the short and intermediate parts of the field, but deep, there's some concerns. Khalil Shakir, he's got the strongest connection with Josh Allen on this offense. He's also very good with yards after contact. And I think to say that he gets nothing this year is an understatement. It's an overstatement, rather. I think he will be fairly involved. I think Curtis Samuel's the third wide receiver. And I think at the lowest, Khalil Shakir is third in line for targets. And you're drafting him. Khalil Shakir's being drafted at an ADP of 128 in 1QB leagues. So what do you lose? Again, not much draft capital invested into him. So for me, I'm a big Khalil Shakir fan, and I've been targeting him in the late rounds.
Yeah, you love Khalil Shakir for some reason. I don't know what it is. I'm not big on him personally. I'm just going to burst your bubble a little bit here. I'm not huge on him. He was involved a lot last year. But then again, whole new offense this year. Again, they've got no wide receiver that's a clear standout, and that could be Khalil Shakir. He knows the offense already. Well, he knows the connection with Josh Allen. He's got that repertoire with him. So we'll see what he can bring. As I said before, I think it's all going to be Kincaid. That's going to be in the red zone, or Keelan Coleman, I think, will be the red zone target for wide receivers. But let's see how Khalil Shakir goes. As you said, he's going to cost you nothing to get him. So you could even get him off the waivers week one, or you could draft him late and stash him and see how he goes.
Yeah, we have got a Keon Coleman fan in the comments. So I'm not disrespecting Keon Coleman. I think he will still be fairly involved. I think it's actually going to be Curtis Samuel that's the odd one out here. But I just have Khalil Shakir ahead of Keon Coleman just because he's in the slot. He's a more known target to Josh Allen. That's really my thinking behind it. And so I think we're looking at something pushing 70 to 80 catches. And it could be some blow-up weeks, if defenses target or double team Kincaid. Number two, I've got Rico Dowdle. Currently, and I'm clutching here, right? He's considered the RB1 at the Dallas Cowboys. Zeke's washed 3.5 yards per carry. He's not gonna be doing everything, right? Unless they make a trade for someone like a Khalil Herbert, which I hope they do. Unless they trade for someone, I think it is actually Rico Dowdle's backfield. Now they do run a fair bit, and they're not going to go away from that because they haven't added enough offensive pass catches. So it's going to be a similar offense to last year. Tony Pollard had 250 carries. Rico Dowdle had 70, right? So there's going to be something there for for Rico Dowdle.
I don't hate that, Guns. I actually don't hate that at all. It just makes me a little bit sick inside that Rico Dowdle is going to be the RB1 potentially for the Cowboys. Deep down, that actually really hurts me. But look, is there a world where he's the change of pace running back with the pass catching ability? Absolutely. The Dallas offense still should be good enough to be, I guess, well, who knows what CeeDee Lamb's going to do at this stage. But if CeeDee Lamb's on the field, the Cowboys offense should be able to move the ball. And Rico Dowd will be on the field a lot, I reckon. I think Zeke is a little bit washed. Royce Freeman, yuck. So Dowdle's the other option. So hey, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I think it's not a thrilling pick, but you're drafting him really late right now, Rico Dowdle. His ADP's 145. Like, he's
Yeah.
even more free than free at this point. So
Yeah.
it's worth a
No.
shot.
Let's see how he goes in preseason. That's going to be his true barometer, I think.
Yeah.
Zeke's pretty washed. You're right.
Yeah. He was a decent pass catcher last year for the Patriots, Zeke. But in terms of running back carries, I think it's the
I think he averaged
majority
like 3
would
yards.
probably. Yeah, it was grim for Zeke.
Yeah.
Number one, I'll keep it nice and brief because I've talked about him all preseason. Tyrone Tracy, confirmed as the Giants RB2. He's going to be doing passing down work. He has the upside to be their number one running back by season's end. Again, his draft capital his ADP's 183.8. He's basically waivers for most redraft leagues. In my opinion, you pick him up in the final round, go reach for him, make sure no one can get him off waivers, see what happens. I think it'll pan out to an extent. The upside is he takes over the backfield. He's not going to be a non-factor because Eric Gray sucks. Devin Singletary can't catch passes, so he's going to have some sort of role this year, Tracy. Now
you're going to lose your nut over Tyrone Tracy, I think.
What do you
you're
mean?
the only guy in the
Yeah.
I think you're the only guy in the world who's done a 30-minute podcast of Tyrone Tracy. I reckon you'd struggle to find anyone that's actually even spoken about Tyrone Tracy.
Well, that's why we're number one, okay? That's why we're number one.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 126 people are watching. That's got to be something. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I don't mind Tyrone Tracy, mate. All shit aside. The Giants suck balls. And he's a rookie. They're going to give him some snaps at some point to see what he's got. Singletary's old, or older, should I say. Eric Gray sucks. They're at a real they're still crying over Saquon Barkley. They're going to try something new.
Yeah. Now, your bounce back players. Who have you got for us?
Yeah, so my bounce back players, I'll start again with a QB, as I've always done. Joe Burrow is my first bounce back player. In fact, I've actually heavily included the Bengals offense in this for a reason. Made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I think he's going to be fine. Now, he's currently going as in 2 QB leagues. His ADP is currently at 14. So that's, I don't know, mid-second round, early second round for 10 to 12 QB leagues. Player leagues, as I should say. This is a guy who's finished as a 4th QB at his, what was it? 4th, I think it was. QB4 he finished 2 years ago. So if you're getting him early second round and he's got potential to finish as a top 5 QB, then that's a massive bounce back play for me. This offense should get a lot better with him in it.
You'd think so. And he hasn't got injuries like he did this time last year in the preseason. We understand
there's new haircut
issues
too.
Around. Yeah, yep, new haircut, Slim Shady. It's a good sign. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. It looks like he's got the rookie Jermaine Burton. He looks pretty promising.
I love it.
Chase Brown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't if he's just 60-yard screen passes to the house all year. I don't think anyone's complaining.
Everyone eats.
Yeah. Everyone eats,
and he's got the best.
I think
he's got one of the best wide receivers in the game, in Jamar Chase. Like seriously, like this.
Yeah,
it has to be a bounce back player for me. Healthy enough, he's fine.
Yeah. if you're thinking about, if you're a big fan of stacking on teams and connections, the Jamar Chase Joe Burrow stack is a genuine league winner, right? Because if
Yeah.
the Bengals offense explodes, as if Jamar Chase isn't going 1,500 receiving yards.
Yeah. The only bad thing about Joe Burrow is he just got paid. So hopefully he doesn't go back into his shell and go, oh, well, I've just got paid now. I'm sweet. But I think he's a very competitive guy. So he will put that aside and try and win games for sure.
Yeah.
My second bounce back player is actually Austin Eckler. We had a graphic the other day about Brian Edwards versus Austin Eckler. I actually picked Brian Robinson. I've now backflipped on that. And I've gone Austin Eckler again. 2 years ago, this guy was like going in first rounds in every draft. He's a pass catching back. He still has the rushing ability. The only thing that may hold him back is Jaden Daniels might hold him back a little bit with his rushing presence. But Brian Robinson, he's got. I don't really rate him, to be honest, as a player. He overachieved last year. And I think Austin Eckler, they signed him for a reason. They're going to use him. And there's no reason why he can't be at least startable in most leagues. His ADP is like 112. It's extreme amount of value for a guy who's so talented.
There'll be people out there who are concerned he goes straight into an Antonio Gibson role. Now, whilst that's partially true, it's still going to give him carries. Particularly when, out on the Chargers offense, it was not a very good offensive line. The scheme was just check it down to Eckler or throw it to Keenan Allen. Like it was a weird offense they had over at the Chargers. And it resulted in the offensive line not being very good at run blocking. Yards per carry were pretty poor for Eckler. But I put that down to the line. I don't put that on Eckler. Has he got an improved line here? Not fully, but it's probably better. It's better. It's slightly better than what you got in the Chargers last year. And it shows because the Chargers went and used their 5th overall pick on a left tackle, right? Or a right tackle.
You're drafting him late in drafts. Like, you're not investing much capital into him at all. Yeah. And this guy, if he gets back to even half his former self, he's going to be like a running back 20. So I love it. But then again, there is Brian Robinson as well, who will probably get the goal line carries, probably first down backs, you'd imagine.
For those who were fading Eckler because he's old, there were people last year that when they looked at the Jets' backfield, they saw Brees Hall coming off an ACL tear, and they decided, oh, Dalvin Cook, his ADP 60. I'll draft him. He'll do well.
Yeah.
Well, ADP of 60 is very different to an ADP of 120. If Eckler's a bum and he's washed and he's going to be out of the league by the season's end, that's fine at an ADP of 120. Well, it's okay at an ADP of 120. But people justify Dalvin Cook in an ADP of 60. So, like...
He was a first-round pick last year, man. A first-round pick.
Yeah. He was my 101 last year, which was stupid in itself.
It's crazy. It's crazy. He's not that washed.
Well, I don't think he is. Dalvin Cook had a historic drop-off, though, I must say. Like, he went from being 4 yards a carry to 2.
He came off an injury, though.
Yeah. Well, Eckler kind of has as well, you could argue.
Yeah,
That's the argument.
Yeah.
But, again, there's also in PPR leagues, he's gold, Eckler. If it's if it's half PPR or standard, I probably don't want anything to do with him.
My third bounce back player is T. Higgins. Now, he was up and down last year. He was in and out of the lineup as well. He's had some contract disputes during the whole off season. We're not too sure if he's playing or not. He said he's playing. He's looking to really make a name for himself now. He wants to get paid. He signed that franchise tag, that tender. He's not happy with it, but he'll play through it. I'm hoping he doesn't get injured. But it looks like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, which is what you want for fantasy because that means he's got something to prove. He's currently he's a wide receiver 2, which is probably the only downside to him. But his ADP's at 71. Now, this guy, what was it, 2 years ago, ended up as a wide receiver 18. So, yeah, if he can bring back that sort of form, you've got a bargain with him at pick 70 odd. And yeah, he's still young. He's 25 years old. And I love Joe Burrow. So, yeah, he's my bounce back player for the wide receivers.
For me, I don't understand how people prefer Devonta Smith over T. Higgins. And I better make sure that before I go launch into this point that that's actually the case, but I'm pretty sure it is. Because T. Higgins is on a more pass-friendly offense. Yeah, people prefer Devonta Smith over T. Higgins. Higgins on a more pass-friendly offense. He's got he's definitely got a better quarterback. And he's not got less competition, but there's more, as I say, more opportunity for him to still put up wide receiver 1 numbers, even though he's the wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow can support 2 elite wide receivers. In that offense, absolutely. So 70 is a steal for someone who probably should be drafted in the 40s or 50s. And there is also the side of, if he gets traded, it's going to be to a contender. Let's talk hypothetical here, right? If the 49ers make some big moves, let's say they trade Brandon Ayuk away. Imagine if they go and say, you know what, we'll take T. Higgins. We won't have to pay him as much as Brandon Ayuk. That's a game changer, right? Just as a hypothetical. There's the upside in that regard.
But even a shit team, I don't know, the Patriots might decide, shit, he's not going to cost us much. Let's go get T. Higgins. Suddenly he's the wide receiver 1. So he's got something to prove, T. Higgins. He's got something to prove.
Yeah.
My 4th player is Mike Williams. He's a bit out there with Mike Williams coming off a torn ACL. But now his new offense, Aaron Rodgers, another bounce back year, hopefully. He's going to turn 30 years old, Mike Evans, so his age is not really in his on his side. But his ADP is 145, Mike Williams. This is a guy who's a home run threat, loves the long ball. Aaron Rodgers loves slinging it around. So, the last his best year, he finished as a wide receiver 12. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be able to back that up and do it next year, but is he a sneaky bench option for someone? Absolutely he is. Is he going to be there late in the draft? Absolutely he is. He may miss the first couple of weeks. Is probably his only downside to his pedigree, but I think it's fine with Mike Williams. He's not going to obviously outplay Garrett Wilson by any stretch, but there's no reason why Mike Williams can't bounce back this year.
Yeah, it's a high upside play, Mike Williams, because what you're getting potentially is someone who he'll have his quiet weeks even when he's fully healthy, but his upside is multiple 100-yard receiving games, and touchdowns, multiple touchdowns.
Absolutely,
right? He's just a big boy.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be an offense that should be able to move the ball around as well. So he should be the wide receiver 2 there. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's got big TD upside. So, yeah, I mean, you may even get him off the waivers.
Yeah. Tons of upside to him. And, I think we're both fairly keen on him. Yeah, so can't oppose it. And your last one, I personally think he's got a bit of tight end 1 upside to him. But, yeah.
Yeah, so I think people are sort of forgetting that Mark Andrews still exists. Now he missed, I think it was half the year, 3/4 of the year last year. His ADP is currently about 50 to 55, somewhere around there. He's still Mark Andrews. He's still young. He came back in the playoffs and still dominated. I still think he's probably the number one option on the offense out there in Baltimore. Yeah, it's crazy. This guy has finished as a tight end one before. He's a top 5 lock pretty much every single year. I think he's been forgotten about, to be honest, and I think he'll bounce back and probably finish as a top 3, top 4 tight end.
Yeah, I think, he's got Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews have an amazing connection. I think at full health, he will push Zay Flowers to the number 1 target. I don't really buy into the fact that Isaiah Likely will be number 2. I think number 3 is realistic, but even then, it's hard for him to be on the field at the same time as Mark Andrews unless they're playing him as a wide receiver. This is Isaiah Likely. But Mark Andrews, all very keen on him, and if he can put together an injury-free season, I think it's a proper, genuine tight end 1 contender.
And don't forget, they lost Odell Beckham, which is another receiver that they had, and they lost Derrick Henry. So they didn't really gain anyone. There's rumors going around that Rashad Bateman's going to be more involved in the offense. So if he's getting more involved in the offense, then Mark Andrews has to be the focal point in this offense. They got Zay Flowers there, who's probably the wide receiver 1. But the more I think about it, the higher Mark Andrews goes for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen on him. But his ADP will be the ultimate decider in that. Yeah. Now, my bounce back players. I don't know if he quite counts as a bounce back player, but Jonathan Brooks, had he not torn his ACL in November, I think he would have been drafted instead of Xavier Legette in the early 2nd round or late 1st round. I think he would have pushed for 1st round selection in the draft. And in fantasy drafts, I think he'd be drafted in the 4th or 5th round, right? Because the guy's a stud. Now, he's bouncing back from the ACL tear. That's why I put him on the list. I think he's well and truly the most talented player in the running back room. At the Panthers, I think he's got a 3-down skill set. I think he will be very fantasy relevant in the latter half of this year and a top 16 RB maybe for the years to come, right? He's going to be. I think he's going to hit in NFL. In an NFL sense, I think he's going to hit.
Mate,
big fan on him.
Absolutely. It's probably rough you put him as a bounce back, but he's coming off a knee. He hasn't played a snap in NFL, but as you said, he's coming off a knee, so he has to be bouncing back from something, doesn't he? Mate, that's more than fair. I think we've covered Jonathan Brooks to a degree already, but mate, absolutely. Jonathan Brooks is going to be the RB1 there from probably week 4 onwards. It's going to be a slow burn, but he'll get there.
Now, I'll move to the number 4. Now, you spoke about Mike Williams bouncing back. Well, let's have a look at the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Now, obviously, didn't even make it through the first drive for the Jets last year, rather. This year around, same hype, possibly even more, because Garrett Wilson's now 3rd year in. He's got Mike Williams, Breece Hall's 2nd year removed from the ACL tear. Tyler Conklin, Mr. 87 targets. He's going to keep on keeping on. It's a good offense for Aaron Rodgers to return and thrive in. I've seen a few people have Aaron Rodgers as their dark horse MVP. I don't mind the shout. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't mind it. I don't see how he doesn't pass for 4,000 yards, Aaron Rodgers. I think Garrett Wilson's a massive part of that. And if Garrett Wilson's wide receiver one season, which I'm predicting could happen, if that actually pans out, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a fantastic fantasy season.
Yeah, yeah, I like the shout. I actually really like the Jets this year, and that really stems off Aaron Rodgers. So, mate, spot on. If you're a punter out there, I'd be chucking some dollars on the Jets to actually win the whole thing. I think they're good value. We don't condone betting here, but at the same time, fuck it. Great shout, mate. Great shout. He's going to be elite there. He could have come back. There was rumors going around last year. He could have come back last year, late in the year, maybe even playoffs they made it. So, he's going to be a great one, I reckon.
Yeah. Now, number 3, we spoke about at the top of the show, Javonte Williams. Again, second year removed from his ACL tear. I think he didn't really show us much last year. He was bad in reality. But he's had a really good training camp. He's shot the lights out, training the house down for those NRL fans out there. Big fan of Javonte. I'm thinking that, at his ADP, which is pretty low, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but Javonte Williams, where is he? ADP of 92 in a 1 QB league. So that's pretty good for me. I'm willing to take a flyer on him there.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
3-down skill set.
Mate, I still don't understand why he's not. Well, the rumors going around at the start of the year that he's going to get cut and he wasn't going to be the RB1 and all this sort of crap. It's all horseshit, mate. He's been training the house down. Sean Payton loves running backs. So, he's going to be heavily involved, I think. They got a rookie QB there in Bo Nix will start, so he'll need some help. And they're going to have to lean on Javonte Williams.
And the upside for him is low-end RB2, even a mid-range RB2, because of that volume that he can potentially have. So, I'm tipping him to have a bounce-back season and get pretty close to those heights. Another guy we spoke about at the top of the show, Jameson Williams. I loved him coming out of college. I was a big fan. I thought he would have kicked on by now. It looks as though he finally will. He's had a great training camp. It seems as though they're going to feature him. He's not going to be solely a big play threat or one play wonder like he has been the last 2 years. But this time round, he's going to get reliable volume on all stages of the field. There's been plenty of videos of his route running and elusiveness on social media. I'm a pretty big fan. I'm happy to I'm happy to reach for Jameson Williams. I know his ADP was in the how have I forgotten already? I think it was in like the 110s. I'll get it up here. Yeah,
it's 127 in 2 QBs.
Yeah. So in 2 QBs, 127, 1 QBs, 110. I mean, I'm happy to pick him at a round early or 2 rounds early. That's the sort of upside he's got to him. So I'm willing to reach.
Yeah. The only downside of Jameson Williams is he's got a stacked offense. It's probably the only downside to it. So he'll have his weeks where he goes off, though.
Yeah. Big upside to him. And number 1, how could I not mention his name in bounce back? The definition of bounce back, my fantasy QB1 this year, Anthony Richardson. When I was over in America, I did my very best to try and find an Anthony Richardson jersey. Unfortunately, I was looking on the complete wrong side of the nation. I was West Coast. I was in Seattle, Los Angeles, Hawaii. no Anthony Richardson jerseys whatsoever. Now, back to Anthony Richardson. He only played 2 full games last year. He was a top 5 finish in both of those games. His upside is immense. He could easily rush. He could easily have double-digit rushing touchdowns. He could go very close to throwing for 4,000 yards. He could push for 800 rushing yards. He's got 3 stud wide receivers in Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, Michael Pittman. He's got a stud running back in Jonathan Taylor. And Shane Steichen, mastermind of the 2022 Philadelphia offense. It's all coming up roses for Anthony Richardson as long as he stays fit.
You're gonna blow your load on this, Guns, but his ADP's dropping.
Yeah, I know.
His ADP,
It's great stuff.
His ADP's at 15.4 in 2 QB leagues. Remember the last time we did a QB show? I think his ADP was like 7 or 8. So he's almost doubled that. So yeah, he's next QB after Anthony Richardson's Dak Prescott, just for reference. So yeah, no, his 2 games that he played last year, or 3 games, whatever it was the elite of the elite, right? He's got to stop trucking blokes. That's the first thing. Put your shoulder away, mate. You don't need to use your shoulder on a 225-pounder linebacker or anything like that. Put it away. Otherwise, you'll be banged up and hurt again. Mate, if he stays healthy, he could be the QB1. I don't think he will, but the high upside is there for sure.
Yeah. So I'm tipping him to bounce back the Lux. And I believe that is my 5 bounce back players, and I also believe that is the end of our show. Again, thank you to the 170 viewers that have tuned in for our first live one. I think we're gonna have to do this in the future, go live again. Because the turnout has been immense. So thank you very much. We will keep you up to date with what we're going to talk about next week. Obviously, we've got preseason games. We've got a stack of NFL coming up. Friday, tons of NFL games. Saturday, even more. And Sunday, an actual bucket load of games. Look, I know what I'll be doing. I'll be sitting on the couch watching those games. Or, if you're at work, chuck them on the second screen or on the phone. Perfect timing. I can't wait to see Khalil Herbert show off for the Chicago Bears so that he gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys and becomes an RB.
Yeah. We'll see, mate. We'll see.
Surely you feel better about Khalil Herbert than Rico Dowdle.
He's too good for us.
Just throw a fourth or 5th round pick. You'll be sweet.
We prefer shit carders, mate. We like shit carders.
Well, what was alarming was how much he actually featured in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah. So was Roshan Johnson there as well. They're stacked at running back, but yeah, no. Let's see what they do. I'm pretty keen for these preseason games, man. I'm stoked. Hopefully, we can see some full rosters go out there and actually play. Even if it's just like a couple of drives or something like that. Just give us a little taste of what we can see. I'm sick of seeing these backups play. It's just a cock tease.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. Well, Matrix has said we want mocks. I guess that's the direct orders from the boss. Well, yeah, I reckon we do maybe do a mock draft next week.
We'll see if we can do that.
People lined up. But yeah, we'll be doing it live, so I don't see why not. Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, there you go. We've just decided live on air. We'll do a mock draft next week. We'll fill you all in with details in social media. But as always, thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you're listening to this later on podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you download and leave a little review for us.
And please follow me. I've got 36 followers.
And follow him.
I need more.
He's got 36 followers. He needs a lot, and he deserves a lot. Yeah, I should pump you up that way too. Okay, well, that's a good place to end it. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next week.